Hi, welcome to High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and we are on ThinkTech Hawaii, streaming live. So HTDC is the state's tech evangelist, and we support anything and all things tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing. And there's so many things that are going on in Hawaii that we want people to know about, that we want to showcase them here on this show. So, and keep the momentum growing, because I think it's growing. The whole ecosystem of tech and entrepreneurship is growing. So it's exciting times. I wanted to let you know what's coming up this week first before we meet our guest. So tomorrow is Wetware Wednesday, June the 11th. Wetware Wednesday is our monthly networking event for software developers and engineers, and this month's event is sponsored by the Energy Accelerator. You get to hear from some of their companies about their experience at the Accelerator. Following closely after that, Friday the 13th is Startup Paradise Demo Day. Demo Day will highlight 13 startups from both the Energy Accelerator and Blue Startups. And another big bonus of attending Demo Day is their keynote speaker, Dave McClure, venture capitalist and founding partner of 500 Startups, a seed fund and incubator program in Mountain View, California. He's invested in and worked with a list of amazing companies, so he is not to be missed. Startup Paradise is this Friday, June 13th at Iolani School. Also, do you need any legal advice regarding your small business? HTDC is offering free legal advice in partnership with the Business Law Corps. You can sign up for a 30-minute appointment at the Manoa Innovation Center during June and July. If you're interested and this is you need some free legal advice, please visit htdc.org/legal to sign up. And lastly, I'm calling out to all SBIR Phase 1 winners. HTDC offers the state's matching fund for up to 50% of your Phase 1 award. So if that's you, please contact us at sbir@htdc.org. And now, on to my guest today. My guest today is Warren Doi of the Energy Accelerator. Thanks for being here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having us.
And just to let everybody know, they just opened up their applications this month, at the beginning of the month, and their current cohort will be pitching at Demo Day, which we just mentioned, this Friday at Iolani School. So, can you tell me what the Energy Accelerator does for your energy companies?
Sure. So we're an accelerator program, and we're primarily funded by the federal government. And we're really supporting clean energy innovation across the board. We have two different programs. One is for the earlier stage companies, which we call the SEED program, and one is for the growth companies. And that's really to fund projects here in Hawaii around clean energy innovation.
So like you find them customers?
In both cases we do.
Okay.
Our cohort tends to have a spectrum of what their needs are. So some have a good amount of customer development and customer discovery that has already taken place. Others need a little bit more assistance in that area. So we try to understand what the needs of the companies are.
Each company.
And then cater our resources to be able to support what their needs are.
And do both of these, the seed and the growth stage companies, do they run parallel through the accelerator? Or are they on different?
They're on different paths, mainly because the projects for the growth program, they usually extend further along, it's 18 to 24 months, typically, where the seed program is within a year. So the seed program are really focused on their business model, their go-to-market strategy, and customer discovery as need be. But in both cases, we're really seeking to help companies commercialize their technology.
So what opened up, the applications that opened up are for both stages, seed and growth?
Yeah, so we opened applications on June 1st, and we'll be accepting them online at energyaccelerator.com. And that will continue through the end of the month. And that's the first phase in our evaluation process. So the written applications are due on June 30th, and then after that we do a deeper dive with the companies that make it out of that first round.
Oh, okay. So there's several rounds to get into the accelerator?
Exactly. So the first round, we're really looking at the team, the business model, and the technology. And then the second round, we're looking at more detailed information around their financials, you know, kind of the intricacies of their business model and some of the needs that we can help resolve, and really going through a more extensive due diligence process as we go through the process based on the specific company and kind of where they're at in their growth.
So for the seed program, what does a company need? Like, what does it take to be accepted into the program?
So the basic requirement is that companies at least have a prototype, a working prototype.
Oh, okay.
So we don't fund ideas. It'd be much too difficult, too broad to be able to fund just ideas. So we established at least the baseline of having a working prototype.
Wow.
And another requirement that's that we put in place is that it's that the teams are more than one person. So, you know, it takes a strong team to be able to commercialize any technology. And you know, I think at least having two or more gives a sense of the overall kind of the people behind the technology, and that's really important. I think more than anything, we look at the team because at the end of the day, the technology will most likely evolve over time, and the team will need to persevere and adjust and pivot as necessary as they go through the various stages of growth. So the early stage companies, it's really tough to be able to evaluate you know, an early stage business because you don't have as much
information
and you know, as much progress as say the latter stage companies, the growth stage companies, where you have you know, typically existing investors, you have like a tested business model, a go-to-market strategy. They just need a little help with regard to rolling out their technology, and typically our growth funding helps really accelerate and give a boost to kind of the financial component of that first phase of commercialization. So we prefer to have customer cost share, so that, you know, the customer is actually paying for the product or service, but with our funding, that makes it a little bit more economical. And through that stage, they're able to prove out their technology, and it becomes more viable as they move forward.
And that's for the growth stage?
That's for the growth stage.
Okay, so the money, they can still use the money to keep developing their product?
Yeah,
or
I mean,
is it kind of to get it to that state where?
Yeah, we don't fund kind of research and development of products as much as the commercial plans and go-to-market activities.
Okay, very good. And what do you do at the Accelerator?
Yeah, so I work closely with the early stage companies. So I'm a serial entrepreneur myself. Started 4 different companies.
Wow. And
kind of been through the ringer on kind of everything that it takes up front to start a company, to building a team, building a solid business plan, forming a board, going out and raising capital, and going to market. So I help the companies that we have in our seed cohort to be able to go through that process, hopefully leveraging you know, my experience and background, but ultimately it's up to them. We provide resources around the program, not only myself, but mentors that have that are typically in their field or have some expertise in
energy.
In energy or in their specific area of need, and along with the funding as well. So a common theme or that's been said about our program is a lot of the companies come for the funding, but they really get a sense of all the resources that we bring to the table, and then that typically surpasses the monetary portion of our program, because it really takes more than just money to commercialize and become a successcul company.
Yeah, I saw you have an impressive list of mentors on your site.
Yeah, we really do, and we appreciate everyone that helps us out. Not only our mentors, but organizations that help us, and the community around the entrepreneurial network that we're trying to build here. And we owe a lot to those that came before us. I just remember like 10 years ago that it was really difficult. Like I said, I started companies.
And were they energy companies?
No, they weren't. They kind of crossed different industries.
Wow.
My personal background, I can just kind of look at different areas and of opportunity, and I've started pure high-tech companies. I've started financial services companies.
Wow.
And energy companies. So cross the gamut. But just 10 years, especially here locally, there just wasn't the ecosystem and foundation of support that there is now. And I've had the fortune to be able to start companies on the mainland and here. So I've tried to borrow what I've learned from the Silicon Valley and adopt it here, so that we can kind of learn from that and hopefully build a real strong clean energy innovation sector here.
And do you see Hawaii kind of getting there? Like, are we making good progress?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we're making fantastic progress just over the last few years. For a variety of reasons, Hawaii is the ideal place for clean energy innovation. It's the best test bed based on not only the high energy costs, but just the strong network of support from the utility, PUC, and the state, and
the weather,
and the weather, and the lifestyle. It's we just really have so much going for us. It's just a matter of focusing our efforts.
Great. We are going to take a quick break. So my guest today is Warren Doi from the Energy Accelerator, and this is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and we'll be right back. Thanks.
I'm Jay Fidel. That's Sharon Moriwaki of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And every Wednesday we have Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. We've been doing it for some time now, and we have some fantastic guests on there, unbelievable guests who give us insight into what is going on in a very complex, sometimes very confusing, sometimes very disappointing area of progress in the state. So we love doing this. We love meeting them. We love talking to them. We love having their ideas out on the table. So maybe, just maybe, we can all make some sense of what's going on. Sharon, what do you think?
I think that's absolutely correct. We enjoy ourselves meeting with all these people and hearing about the energy and the state of clean energy, and hopefully we advance clean energy for the state. So it's terrific. Join us.
Okay, it's every Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is Energy Day. Every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, here on ThinkTech Hawaii. We'll see you there.
Hi, welcome back. This is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. My guest today is Warren Doi of the Energy Accelerator, and we are talking about their new cohort, which you can apply for now. And I wanted to ask, so out of the cohorts that you've had so far, what is the percentage of Hawaii companies versus companies that come in from outside?
Yeah, it's a good question. Typically, it's been about 50-50. We'd like to have more, and we're really seeking out innovative companies throughout the state. We encourage everyone to apply. Again, the application is available on our website. And I think that the important thing that we're trying to build is an ecosystem here locally. We would love to be able to fund, our entire cohort here locally, local companies. But we're starting from a place where we're really trying to bring in the right resources to be able to build this system that has momentum. So what happens typically is that we find we really identify the energy challenges that we face here, and we look globally for solutions that can help address these. And even if the companies that we select are not local, we have a requirement for the companies that aren't based here locally to mentor our local companies.
Oh.
So that way we have some of the best and brightest come here, and rather than just having a project and
then they go
leaving,
back.
they're leaving something behind which could be much more valuable, because our hope is that we're able to really fuel the early stage development of innovation in clean energy by bringing in the right resources and right mentors that can help early stage ideas prosper in the future.
Is there any incentive for the mainland companies or the outside companies to stay?
There's always an incentive just based on kind of the base that we've built here, and not only the things I mentioned before about the high energy prices and the favorable conditions from the utility and the PUC, but I think that the paybacks are often accelerated based on the investment and the returns based on our high cost of energy. And being that we're an isolated community, it allows them to really highlight their technology in an area that people can come and see.
So have companies stayed that have come from outside?
Well, we're our program is still new. This is our second cohort, so it's too early to tell. But that's I think again our long-term goal is to be able to really root local companies here that aren't necessarily companies that have relocated here, but that start here. And I think to be able to really have that happen, that's why we're having this demo day event at Ilani School, is we really wanted to not only bring in the companies to pitch, but really start to propagate the early kind of entrepreneurial spirit into the community.
That's great. That's a great idea. And does the growth stage companies actually mentor the seed stage, or is there any interaction between?
They do. So that's one of the requirements for the growth stage companies.
Smart.
Yeah. So we, just earlier today, actually, I was talking about how do we really take the best and brightest throughout industry, and since they're already here through our program, how do we utilize that talent pool to be able to help, and that's where kind of this STEM education process is really we're trying to build more activities around how we utilize these kind of thought leaders in energy.
Wow. So you guys do outreach?
We do.
As far as?
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of what we do.
That's great.
So we do outreach, around the world to find the greatest, latest and greatest technologies, and the leaders in a particular space. They're heavily involved in our program, they're not required to relocate here,
great.
but they spend a good amount of time here, and in so doing, they're able to build the connections with our companies, with our local companies, and with as we extend our reach out to students, to be able to really have them, students and teachers, kind of learn from what's going on in industry, so they could start to develop plans and activities around there. Yeah. Prepared for the future, and really kind of testing some of the theoretical aspects of clean energy. Obviously we want to encourage the potential, but we also want to give a practical sense of what's happening throughout the industry.
That's great. That's good. You had mentioned earlier that you're taking your startups and your cohort to Silicon Valley to pitch. And you had said that the beginning part of the trip is actually prepping and getting taught how to pitch in the Valley. So what is the difference? Why do they need to learn a different way to pitch?
Sure. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, the Valley kind of operates by its own rules. And that's actually really exciting because, and spending so much time there myself, it's really kind of the land of opportunity, and you're only kind of limited by your ideas, and that's really encouraging to be in a place like that. So you want to be able to make sure that you understand kind of the unwritten rules of how the Valley works, how the investment community has prospered, and really the differences between investor groups, say angel investors to VCs, and what they're looking for, and kind of how to position a company to meet some of those requirements, and how it differs from perhaps other types of pitches, where especially in clean tech, you have a good amount of early stage companies receiving grant funding. And there's pitch contests from like the Department of Energy, for instance, where they're presenting their technology, and it's just judged on a completely different basis. I mean, not entirely, but it's just a different perspective on how to present and look at companies, because ultimately, the success of a company is going to be on their sustainable financial position,
The return.
on the return, and at least some of the early stage grants are based on technology advancement, and not necessarily right to commercialization. So some of our companies in our existing cohort, they're really well trained on pitching for grant funding.
I see. I see.
So, and we've been working with some of these companies to be able to take their concept, their ideas, and their technologies to be able to wrap that around and do a real deep dive on their financial model, and really knowing what the market is, what the market needs, what the market forces will dictate as far as their the price points and their growth.
Wow. And then, so the companies that aren't here, do they stay here during the duration of the accelerator, or?
No, they don't. So some traditional accelerators, they have a requirement that they kind of be in a place, and typically that's based off of activities that you can just kind of put in place, and like a typical high-tech company where they can be anywhere. They're located somewhere. You can crank out code, work on their pitch, roll that out, get funding, and they're off
remotely.
Yeah. So this is it's much it's a clean energy tends to be a bit more complex, and the duration is longer typically. So to be able to commercialize products takes a longer time. So part of their time that's spent here is really an intense few weeks that we work with them, based on their needs, and so they don't relocate here. The companies that aren't, but they spend a lot of time here throughout the program.
Okay, and then so they go back and then they work on their stuff, and then remotely whatever help they need.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
get from the accelerator.
And that helps bridge the gaps too, because typically even the companies within our cohort, they learn more from each other.
Yeah, just being in that.
Being in that, having a good sense of what's going on both sides of the Pacific. So like what we were talking about just a few moments ago, is just having like even the companies in the Silicon Valley learning how to work with the federal government, and how the military operates, for instance, and how some different grant programs work. And on the flip side, our local companies are learning how Sand Hill Road and the Silicon Valley investors tend to think and evaluate.
Oh, that's good. So it's a good cross collaboration between the groups from different places.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what can we look forward to at demo day? I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, I hope to see you there.
Yes,
I hope to
I'll
see,
be there. I'll be there.
Many of you there, but we have a exciting group from the Accelerator as well as from Blue Startups, and so we have the actual pitches as well as a reception at the Sullivan Center at the Ilani, and and what we're doing this year is we're really on Thursday we're having a workshop with students.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
That's
they can really help to understand what some of the companies are doing, as well as how investors evaluate them. So we have like members from ASB, American Savings Bank, and some local investors giving a workshop, some insight into what they look for when they evaluate companies, so that when they're watching the actual pitches, they have some basis to be able to judge and kind of look at things from a critical eye.
That's great. That's a great give back too to the school. Very awesome. So thank you so much for coming out and joining me. This has been Warren Doi with the Energy Accelerator, and we look forward to demo day. And also Wetware Wednesday, tomorrow night, don't forget, it's at M Nightclub, 6 to 8 o'clock. We'll see you there. And thank you so much for being with us and supporting the entrepreneur community. This has been High Growth with HTDC on ThinkTech Hawaii. Thanks.